Hey everyone, I want to talk about health compulsions today. I'm going to go over a lot of stuff, supplements, sleep stuff, exercise programming, all the ones that I fell into myself and why they all were not inherently bad, just the way I was going about them was very much in a controlled fashion because of my fear of rejection with body dysmorphia, of not looking a certain way and being overweight, and then just the fear of burnout, not feeling good, needing to feel optimal, why that stuff is really, it's cliche and very wishy-washy and keeps a lot of humans stuck in this idea that, everyone has to feel great at all times. And I was saying to a friend of mine the other day that the world is more and more becoming extremely hypochondriac in their own ways. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. I have friends and family members who do not have OCD or anxiety-based disorders, but the way they live their lives doesn't sound too much different by someone who has health OCD or health anxiety in many ways, besides the extreme emotional suffering that we go through. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you got stuck in some of these things. And because I think this is really common amongst humans right now, because I always say we're getting the majority of our information from social media. And because platforms are going to be there forever, whether Instagram and TikTok goes away, things will just come and take their place and be the next biggest thing and so forth. And if you're interested in our coaching and webinar services, please email us at phil@ocdrecovery.com and we will get back to you in a timely fashion. You get all the updates in the webinar and coaching services. So let me talk about the ones that I did the most, the ones that really affected me. And that is the exercise nutrition aspect of it. Now, is counting your calories inherently bad? Of course not. It's like saying alcohol is inherently bad. I see a lot of people who become sober and they say alcohol is not good for anyone, and that's certainly not true. I understand why people say that when they've gone through the really bottom of the barrel. I have friends who really struggle with alcoholism. It's an easy bias to have. It's very similar that when you're going through OCD and anxiety recovery, it's very easy to think, when someone speaks and you think, I don't give a shit what your problems are. My problems are 1,000 times worse. And you could go down that route and it just doesn't go anywhere. So, because then you're playing the comparative game, right, in black and whites. So counting your calories and tracking your exercise program isn't inherently bad, but it's usually not necessary. I'm not going to go into, when I think it is or isn't necessary. I just want to tell you about how it affected me. So I counted my calories on paper for 10 years. Rob has seen I had notebooks stacked up like 2 feet tall, dating all the way back to, early 2011 and 12. So I counted my macros every single day, was very strict about what I could and couldn't eat. I did what was called flexible dieting, or a lot of people knew it as if it fits your macros, FYM, before it turned into the term flexible dieting back in like 2012 and 13, 14. Anyone who's in the fitness will know all the people involved with that and all the people that talk about it. But it became very, very obsessive. If I was going out to eat somewhere, I would always be thinking, can I fit this into my calories? Is this going to fit? Or I don't want to go over my calories. I don't want to feel bloated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I personally had to drop that. It's like saying, why can some people handle alcohol and some people can't? If Jack struggles with alcoholism and then Cindy doesn't, he's like, well, Cindy doesn't struggle. Well, it doesn't matter. You're not Cindy. So some people can use exercise programs. Most people who are coming at it from the way that I did, which is the majority of the fitness world, are probably better off not using exercise programs ever again because it makes you think that the most important thing in life is fitness, which is not true. In my opinion, a lot of people think fitness is the most important thing. I think I worded that incorrectly. I understand why people think it's the most important thing in life. I certainly don't think it's the most important thing in life anymore. I think friendships and camaraderie and living a life, integrity that I base off myself and stuff like that is important. And then hardship and pushing through difficulties and stuff like that. I think that's more important for me now. That was the nutrition side. The exercise one was bad. Tracked all my workouts, every rep, time under tension, rest sets, everything you could. That was a massive compulsive behavior. What I do now is I know what I'm going to lift. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I go to the gym. Thursday, I take off. Friday, I go to the gym. Saturday, I go to the gym. And Sunday, I hike. And then Tuesdays and Fridays, I sprint. That's the only idea I have. I know what I'm going to work out if I have like an upper body day, but I change things around. I change the rep ranges and I just push myself to failure in a reasonable fashion and eat healthy. But I enjoy my life. That works a lot better for me. Am I in as good a shape as I was all these years ago when I was on anabolic steroids? No, but that's okay because I'm much more acceptance of my life where I am now, and that was just overall much better for me. Now, on the sleep side of things, this is where there's a lot of problems that I see when people come in. So you have all the calm supplements, all the melatonin. Again, nothing inherently wrong with a lot of these, but you got to be careful. Always looking for the optimal sleep. And just overall, needing to have a perfect sleep environment, the weighted blanket, the perfect pillow, the perfect mattress, no sound, no blue light. Blue light is a big one. I'm not saying whether there is a physiological problem by using blue light at night. I think humans are much more adaptable than people think. I use my computer and phone right up till I go to sleep, and I can get great sleep. Again, I'm not knocking the blue light blocking glasses. I think they're just a little crazy, just a little bit. They're a little ridiculous. And that sounds tough to hear, but I think it's the truth. If you're avoiding all sorts of stuff, you're really not living your life. What if you get invited out to go to a concert and you say, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to have the blue light and stuff like that. Ear protection stuff, right, too, because I had tinnitus. Again, nothing wrong with wearing ear protection, but always needing your volume be at 50%, making sure you're overly protective of it. That makes it sound louder in your head because their fear is there, whether it's fear of tinnitus or actual tinnitus. I have actual tinnitus in both my ears. There's no problems. I rarely notice it. But if I was to do all these avoidance behaviors and always wear earplugs, I'm sure that sound would be heightened from a sensitivity standpoint because I've been there because the fear drives it. The fear of noticing your tinnitus for the rest of your life is much more problematic than the actual tinnitus itself, or tinnitus, however individuals like to call it. Now let's go to general health stuff, right? With health OCD and mental illness stuff. So let's say cancers, aneurysms, blood clots, cataracts, glaucoma, neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. All those ones, compulsively going for tests. Dr. Google's your best friend. That's got to go. Checking, getting blood work done all the time, getting imaging, CT scans, MRIs, PET scans, ultrasounds, blood work, like I said, all these different things that you're doing. Now, some people are going to have different problems and they're going to have to monitor things like type 2 diabetes, but I'm just giving you an example of all these compulsive behaviors I tend to see. If you're going to the doctors multiple times a month, that's got to go. If you're Googling all the time, that's got to go. Googling with Health OCD has to come down to 0 for a while, right? Well, if there's something wrong, you're going to have to wear that uncertainty and let whatever happens, happens. And that's really difficult for people to do because it feels as real as it can get. The video that's not up it will probably be up by the time this comes out. I talk all about mimicking. I can't stop laughing at the shirt, dad to the bone. I keep seeing the dad part. It's just hilarious. I just wanted to wear the shirt again. I got this for Father's Day, but because I don't have kids, my mother-in-law got me this because I have 2 dogs. She's a nerd. Yeah. And she's retired, so she has a lot of time on her hands. Always got to throw in a little bit of a tangent in my videos, especially after a long day out shopping with Erica, where she brings me shopping, which I don't like doing. So those are all the big ones with health. That's a really, really big one. Let's see what else. Constantly asking your doctor. Now, the problem is with Google right now, because there's a lot of these like instant texts. You can go on certain websites and like constantly go back and forth with nurses and doctors and other providers. If you're doing that stuff, it has to go. If you're in a bunch of forums where you're constantly asking for reassurance about a health problem, that has to go. Now, mental illness ones, schizophrenia, bipolar, split personality disorder, what if it's not OCD, what if it's OCDP, obsessive compulsive disorder personality. The amount of people in the mental health community, in psychological community, that misunderstand OCD and OCDP, it doesn't matter. As we always say, it doesn't matter if it's real or it's a personality problem, the principles still apply. Anyone that says, well, this wouldn't work if it wasn't OCD, it simply just doesn't have a good understanding of the principles of acceptance. I understand why they say that, but I don't even get into that with people because it's very clear to me that their knowledge is very lacking on the subject. You really do have to practice acceptance for years, day in, day out, in order to really understand the practicality of how it works, just the way it goes. Not easy to hear, but there's a lot of truth in that. Supplements. This is a big one. This goes into the stuff with sleep and just general health. I take a multivitamin, take vitamin D and fish oil. Sometimes I forget. Most times I take it. It's actually more of a struggle for me to take it than not take it now because I'm just like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. But just a little bit of low frustration tolerance there. Just being aware of that. Supplements, again, they're not inherently good or bad, but if you're taking 14, 15 supplements a day, I bring those down to a few, see how it goes. You don't have to come to 0. If you're constantly seeing functional medicine doctors, remember, the fear will supersede everything. It will mimic everything. You know, a lot of people say, well, I got to take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. I live below a latitude. I live, you know, seasonal depression, all that stuff. That's great. I'm not saying that stuff isn't real physiologic. I know it is. I've read a lot of the research and studied it when I was in grad school. But again, the fear is a bigger problem. So let's say you live in a place like Alaska, or maybe some of the Nordic countries where you're really close to the poles. Brain fart. Anyway, if you live in like cold areas of Sweden or Norway and stuff like that, could you have much more seasonal depression because of the lack of vitamin D and sunlight? Sure, in isolation. But your belief about how terrible they are will supersede the actual physical problem. I'll give you an example. We're going to all die. Your belief about death will supersede death while you're alive. I know death is coming for me. It could come for me tonight. It could come for me tomorrow. I don't, or in 50 years from now. I don't particularly like that. I love life. I love learning. I love helping people and making people laugh, and why I do all my videos. But overall, I had to kind of understand that that's just the way the world is. So those are just some really big ones as well. I'm thinking of some of the other ones. We covered nutrition, exercise, sleep-related ones, health. And those are all the real big ones as well. Oh, overly cleaning your food, like washing it way too much, when there's some harm OCD in there as well, fear of contamination, anything that you're really doing to lock in a feeling. A lot of the fear of burnout and being overwhelmed can kind of go in the route of like, I need my routine to be absolutely perfect. But as I always say, if you're living too strict and too rigid, you're really not living at all. Yes, you're living in the sense of living, but you're just creeping towards death day by day, not really experiencing a whole lot. And I think that's a really sad thing, and I try to educate people the best they can. And the moral of this video is, of course, there can be structural and physiological things wrong. We're not saying there isn't. But your belief about those things will, again, supersede. If you get diagnosed with cancer, we're not saying it's going to be easy by any means. We see people that come in with cancer and OCD. But your belief about your diagnosis will supersede the actual diagnosis. Not in the sense that it's going to kill you, but the way it's going to affect your emotional state. Same thing with OCD. That's how you break down fear of fear. You have it. It's more than likely genetic. You can either hate having it, which is understandable, or you can start to slowly shift your perspective. It doesn't change the fact that you have OCD. Just something to think about. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed. I fell into a lot of these. A lot of the exercise ones are really big. Just to give you guys an update of the ones I got coming up next, because I've been doing this a little bit more, just so people can be prepared. I have religious OCD coming out tomorrow. Then one's on self-reassurance and allowing yourself to spiral. Talk about panic disorders and all the mistakes I made with panic disorders. Chasing feelings. I'm going to go into all day. I'll probably write some notes for that one. Different ones, how people chase feelings in our OCD, harm, POCD, the moral ones, religion. And I'm going to do a good one on existential. Again, I always take recommendations if they're big and broad. If they're really, really specific, it's hard. I can add them into other videos. But if it's like a one particular hyper-awareness fear, it's hard for me to do that because it doesn't get that traction, etc. But I will talk about it in other ones. So thank you so much for watching. As always, have a great day. And remember, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one, everyone.